Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to the straight shot to light. Straight up to Jesus. I love that. That name of that movie, Long Shot. This is turning the long shot upside down to the straight shot. To God's holy shot. The only shot there is. The only way to go is up. Except if we keep driving the car in the wrong direction, we'll stay lost in the woods. So here we go. What is the ego? Let's start with that this morning in today's lesson. Oh my gosh. Okay, Jesus. I'm willing to see this like I've never seen it before. This is the first time. Yeah. So we get it, like totally get it. Open heart, open mind, Muji, leave your shoes outside, leave your mind outside. Yeah. Leave the wrong-minded. Okay, going naked to our God on this one. Okay, well, he starts pretty simply there. The ego is idolatry. You know, when you start reading this book, you don't realize how deep that idolatry goes. Every twitch is an idol. The sign of limited and separated self, born in a body, doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. Let's start with infinite light. The light of divine being, and see if it has any of these qualities. Infinite light. Like when you drop every idea, every thought, every memory, every image, the play of consciousness. Let's just see in the light. Can we find limitation in infinite light? Just focusing on the light and just noticing, is it limited? Does it come and go? Take a light holiday. We're taking a hell holiday. This is what's happened. In the play of consciousness. Okay, let's just see. Is infinite light born? Can you find birth in there, in infinite light? Is the light have a little doom bell in it? You're doomed to death in light, in infinite light. This is what the ego is so sure about. Like if I'm light, I'm going to die, I'm doomed to suffer, and will end my life in death if I'm the light. Ask Jesus if any of those desires experience to have the light be doom. You can laugh when he says yes, just follow him. See, you know, for whom the bell tolls. Jesus, do I have that like whole thing backwards? Like that light's coming to get me when really it's just an excuse for me to keep this idol of the ego powered up, to put fuel in the ego's little fire chamber so it keeps going. But at least we see it now. See that that's happiness, to see how we wanted to put that flame, get that flame burning under that idolatry. So we can throw ourselves as a sacrifice onto the funeral pyre there. Well, I'm just, ask Jesus. He can tell us for sure. You know, might as well. That's honesty of God. That's where we're getting to. Just see how we believe we're doomed. Let's just ask them. We'll go through each one here. We have the light for contrast, infinite, unchanging. Jesus, do I have a desire to experience limitation below my level of awareness, an experience of being less than light? And am I really get a lot of pleasure from that limitation? See, the ego's plan is to confuse pleasure and joy. You can ask Jesus. The temporal, the temporary. Yet there's always pain behind that. And sometimes you've got to find, I'm asking Jesus, yes, you have to find, let him show you the pleasure underneath all of that pain, that wanting. The miscreation of pain and suffering. And then the face of innocence over it going on. I don't know anything about that. And it's innocence. It's still all innocent. See that the light itself isn't, it's not holding up a little flip matchbook, you know, saying this is you permanently. A little clipboard. Here's all the lists. You're stuck being this size of a box. Light doesn't, the light just is here. Let's just check and see, does the light, infinite light of being, does it know a separation anywhere in light, in infinite love? Love untouched by time. Is love really touched by time? And when we look directly, we find a way that love is time bound. See that that's a construct. It's a constructed idea. It's a desired construct. You can ask Jesus, are all constructions, all concepts desired? These are all the play. You can ask them, are concepts just a play in consciousness? It's a play within the dream. Is the light saying you're doomed to suffer and to end a life in death? So this backwards idea that life is death and death is life has to flip. You can ask Jesus, do all my ideas about what death is and what life is have to flip for me to be pointed straight up? See, the ego goes, oh, I'm feeling really disoriented. No, you're turning right side up. We've been so used to walking like that little rabbit on our ears. Beep, beep, beep. That all of a sudden, when you feel like you're going up, oh, I feel disoriented. Find the one who feels disoriented. See if the light's disoriented. See that the light's never disoriented or overwhelmed or confused about what it is. Is the light ever confused? Just is. It is the will, quote unquote, that sees the will of God as enemy. Okay, we'll just do a light check and see if, Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of awareness to have an experience where the will of God is the enemy? And you go until he says no. You can look at him with that. Keep looking to the desire, release the desire. You can ask him, Jesus, if I look with you directly on this desire for the will of God to be the enemy, will that clean out the closets? Because see that it's all the desire. The only way the dream can exist is if God's the enemy. Ask Jesus. Jesus, is the only way this whole dream can exist is if God is the enemy? You have to make God's will apart from yours to suffer and to experience death. That's what the ego doesn't want to see, and look deeply at that. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. Jesus, does the denial of God take form? It seems to take form. So we can like fall into this dream. Is that what's happening? I'm like, hit the snooze button and pretending that my will is apart from the Father's will. At least we can see it now. Before we didn't see it, how much we want to fight the light, which is impossible because the light's here. We want to pretend like the light is not here. That's the ego's plan. Yet it's still here. Then we can ask, what are we fighting for? When the light doesn't fight, it doesn't know a fight. See that there's something here, even if we can't admit, oh, that's me. That's the ego's plan. Oh, I'm not that for sure. Because it would rather argue with itself and play idols. Jesus is the only way that I'm not admitting I'm light is because I'd rather pretend like an idols are real. I'd rather pretend. He's just unpretending us. So we can't pretend anymore that we don't know that the light is here. Okay. The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness to prove that strength is weakness? That I'll be weak if I'm light. Yet we can see in honesty of God in the light, the power. Contemplate the power of infinite light. I'm asking Jesus, is that valuable? He says, yes. So you can learn what true power is, because you're so used to thinking power is in weakness. My power is in denying light. Jesus, do I have a desire or below my level of awareness for an experience that power is in weakness, in denial of divinity? Will you show me that desire deeply, like the itch, the wanting, the energetic investment that I'm using to attempt to prove that weakness is strength? He says, when you don't listen to me, you're trying to prove that weakness is strength. When you don't ask me for help, you're trying to prove that weakness is strength. and invest in idols. You can ask me everything, he says, just ask me everything. There's no limit here. Just come with an open heart. Like he says, the teacher of God is open. Without that openness, he can't show us what's upside down. Where we're taking a death march while claiming that we're alive when we're really dead. Jesus, am I totally confused about what life is? Infinite life. He says, yes, but you've merely lost your way. It doesn't make it true. The ego is proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. So we can ask him, Jesus, do I desire an experience in which love is fearful? Infinite love, fear. Do I desire to have that experience? To keep that belief that love is fearful so very dear to my heart that I can't even see what love truly is. He says, I'll show you. If you ask me, I'll show you. Life is really death. Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of awareness to have life seem like it's death? Am I that confused and backwards and upside down that I desire an experience that life is death? Okay. He says it. Just admit it. Okay. Obviously, I need help. From a wiser source than I've been using lately. He says yes. Yes. We don't even know how unwise we are. He says yes. Yes. And what opposes God alone is true. Do I desire? This is a big one. They're all big ones. Do I desire an experience in what is in opposition to God alone is true? Can we ask for a miracle? Can we ask for a miracle for every one of these? He says, yes, of course. You may not want to accept a miracle. But with your willingness, I'll show you where you don't want miracles, and therefore release. You can release the suppression of miracles to celebrate nonstop, 24/7, all times. Ask them. So if I learn through you to fully accept miracles, that there's no difficulty in no order of difficulty in miracles, and release all the miracles, like as many miracles as I can take. He says, this is the only purpose, to show you you're the miracle, to show you what never needed miracles and still doesn't need miracles. I said, Jesus, so idolatry is suppression of miracles. Yes. It's suppression of infinite love and out of awareness through desire not to experience infinite love. Ego is merely the desire not to experience infinite love. Supreme happiness, it's like a little block. Put a roadblock in the front of supreme happiness. The ego is insane. Okay, so let's just ask them directly. Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness to experience insanity about who I am? In fear, it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. You can ask him, Jesus, is the ego the same thing as fear? See how they're inextricably bound. Ego's the fear factory. Fear factor. Yet, am I more powerful than this, than any fear? Yes, he says the play of consciousness is to play like fear is more powerful than you. Yet see in the light, does fear exist in light, in truth? Anywhere. This is honesty of God, to see that the light is oblivious to fear. That's you being oblivious to fear. Unless you desire it, and then it seems to come in awareness. It feels inescapable. Is there a desire to have an experience where fear is inescapable? Like it's glued to me somehow. He says through idolatry, it's going to, you'll feel like the flypaper effect. I said, Jesus, can we laugh at fear? He says, yes, with me. See that it's just a play. In its insanity, it thinks it has become the victor over God himself. Might as well look at that. Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness to be a victor over God? That's the one up. See, that's usurping the power of God. Do I desire an experience to feel more powerful than God? And relish it, just relish it. See, when he really shows you how much you relish it, oh, I want to be more powerful than God. At least it can be seen, we can laugh. Oh, he's right again for the 100 billionth time. He's so right. I want to just usurp that power of God when he really shows you that. But it'll get you to the point that you laugh. It's so beautiful. Yesterday, it's like when you see it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. How can you usurp light? How ridiculous is that? See if the light's just really disturbed by being usurped. So light, look in the light and see if it's, getting ready to eject you, because they have like an ejection button where you get heaved out if you usurp the here, like the light's still here, it's just here. It's like Jesus, like we laughed about. Even when you go hide under the bed, God, I got to get away from this ego. And you look out and there's Jesus standing there, it's just going, come over here. I want to show you. There's nothing happening. It's insanity. It thinks it has become. See, as long as Jesus, will I suffer as long as I believe and desire an experience that I've become a victor over God. That's all that specialness is. That you can ask them. I want to be a victor over God, vanquish him, hold him down. Who am I holding down? Look at the light. The light's just like here. We want to try to hold it down. No, we're holding ourselves down. Is when I just ask Jesus, when I'm trying to be a victor over God, am I trying to hold myself down? So the arguments with myself, is this whole argument with myself? Like, I'm playing jujitsu with myself. There's got to be a video somewhere with someone doing jujitsu with themselves where they throw themselves down on the ground, because that's what's happening. Ask them. I mean, this need not be. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees the will of God has been destroyed. Okay, just we're going to check in with the light just to make sure, because that is a strong belief that we've destroyed the will of God and that God's coming to get us. So just check again in the light. We do the light check. I love the light check. I really do. It's wonderful. In infinite light of being, so we can see how insane this is the will, you're the will of God. You can ask Jesus, am I the will of God? That's your identity. Inescapable. See if you can escape that anyway. Look in the light. Can I escape in any way, shape, or form being the will of God? I try, get upset, throw a tantrum, throw myself on the ground, hide in a refrigerator. Can I get away from the will of God? See that in the light, you are the will of God. There isn't else. You're that. And see that in the light's not challenged by a world. Is the light challenged by our world? The light saying, look at that world out there. I'm going to punish you now for it. And the light doesn't say that. See that it's all self-inflicted punishment. Is it all self-inflicted, Jesus? That's why we have to listen to them, because we're so convinced. It's very convincing, this play in consciousness. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams. Jesus, do I desire an experience of trembling? See how much you tremble. And that becomes really obvious. The terror, just trying to meet one-on-one with a brother just for a joining session, and see how intimidating, how sure we are that our brother's going to kill us. You start walking down and just observing, as we're getting into light training, really focusing on the light and seeing that contrast. Light, totally unintimidated. And you just start seeing how you're walking down the street, looking over your shoulder, like there's no rest. It's the mind's always shopping. See, is the light shopping? It just is. Its terrible autonomy. It sees the will of God has been destroyed. Is this world a desire for an experience in which the will of God seems destroyed? And here is the answer on that. Yet at the same time, just see the light's unconcerned about that. See, the light doesn't get involved in all that kerfuffling because it would make it real, and it's not real. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dream, its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. We can just ask them directly, Jesus, do I desire an experience below my level of awareness in which attack is salvation? Do I have a desire to hang on to attack as salvation? Okay, will you help me straighten that little misperception out? He says, just keep asking for miracles. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God? When he abides in him. Jesus, do I abide in God? That's the only place you abide. That's it. Put a period after that and you're done. What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? Jesus, do I actually live in eternal joy? I never thought about asking Jesus that directly. But it's really good when you do and you just hear him, yes. Then you really know you need his help because you see all the ways, like all the twitches. But as we become more sensitized, it is really funny. It is really, really funny. It doesn't feel funny at first, like, because we're so used to hiding all, the desire and pushing it down. You don't see how many twitches you're twitching. But then when you start with Jesus and you've really been looking, it feels like you're like that little bunny. It's funny to see that little bunny upside down walking on his head. And you see the owies. And you start to have nonstop owies like that because we were desensitized before and now they're like, oh my gosh. Then you really start looking instead of going, okay, what's wrong? You start going, oh, this is something to look at. And you just really get that so focused on looking at them with desire. And you like it. Because the ego goes, oh, what's happening to me? Desire below the level of awareness, to twitch at everything. The desire to perceive attack, constant attack. Because until we really look, we don't see that how constant. As he said, you can tolerate pain to a certain amount. We don't even know where we're experiencing pain, Ashley. Ask Jesus, because we confuse pain and pleasure. You can ask him. Am I like totally discombobulated on pain and pleasure? He says, you think pain and pleasure are joy. Jesus, do I believe that pain and pleasure and joy? And you can hear the yes. What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility? All he's saying is to look with him at how much it's not wanted. Do I have a desire not to be tranquil? They say, are you tranquil? Are you silent? Do you honor the silence? You'll see it as soon as you try to go for silence. It's really, you can, in a like silent retreat, it's such good because you see it in yourself then, right? When you see, no silence, no eye contact. We'll probably be doing that here for some time. No eye contact, no speaking whatsoever. And you just, that itch, it's like, to go horizontal really screams. Boy, it really starts, because we're so used to that horizontal communication and looking and trying to get beings to agree with us by looking them in the eye. And it's, you really get to see the play. Like you can just see the examples of where they're just going to explode unless they pass you a note. But it's yourself, you're learning for yourself how much you want to explode unless you pass a note, send an email, you just have to. Like every ounce of your energy wants to go into sending that email. Yet the email's death. You don't even know it. I just killed myself. That phone call, death. Because you're trying to get, the way, not you, consciousness tries to play that way to try to get safety. We don't even see where that movement, it's a movement outward to try to find safety through that phone call or comfort. Yet it's proving the idea of a personal identity. Boom, there it goes. It's just a reflex. We've become a reflex puppet, a puppet of the ego, the puppet of the idea of an identity, of who we think we are. We need him for everything, really. What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility? To know reality is to not see the ego and its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws, and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation. And the cost belief in it entails. See that the light, does the light know anything about an ego? It's just looking around in there for thoughts and dreams and acts and laws. And the ego's plan is to create laws so it can be bound by them. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily. Jesus, ask him, might as well know. Is the price I'm paying for faith in it so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily at the darkened shrine? Might as well hear it direct from the one who knows. Yes. Okay. And blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers prepare to die. This is how graphic we need to get, because we're so sure that light is death. Consciousness plays that way. But that's what we're doing every day, falling on our sword. Let me just fall on my sword one more day. Jesus, I'll follow you tomorrow. It's a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day. Because we believe that light is death. Peace is death. And consciousness plays not to do anything other than that, other than look to see that all of this is untrue. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions to the shrine of life itself. And peace will be restored forever to the holy minds which God created as his Son, his dwelling place, his joy, his love, completely his, completely one with him. Yes. Yes. This is for God's holy Son, this forgiveness. So we even have to be gentle, and just all he's saying is to look, don't judge it. See, the ego adds that extra. See, the ego's plan is to have the awakening plan be judged. So it's just a simple admission without judgment. That's where he's teaching us here. It's just when we ask him, Jesus, am I crucifying myself every day? And he says, yes, we just go, okay, help me. Just admit it. Just hear the when he tells you and just go, okay, admit it. Will you help me with this? To see through it gently and easily, see that he says yes. So anything other than that, gentleness, he says that's not it. Your ego's involved. Anything other than a simple, yes, Jesus, you're right. And I'm willing to look. And just let him load that energy and start showing you where the steam's held in the kettle. That's it. All I need to do is look with you, ask him. All I need to do is look with you. Okay. I just need to look more carefully to see where that itch is and release the itch. Then it rises into awareness. You can just be with him with it. The yes, and you just see how deep the yes is. The yes to saying no to ourselves. I don't want to be. That's what we're releasing. I don't want to be light. Lesson 331. There is no conflict, for my will is yours. How foolish, Father, to believe your son could cause himself to suffer. So that's what he's pointing. He's pointing to the ego's plan is that we suffer to wake up. So part of the suffering is to judge the judgment, to judge the denial. So we have to drop the judgment on the denial, and just that's why he's taking you directly to the no without judgment. Just go to the no and let the energy of that release. Could he make a plan for his damnation and be left without a certain way to his release? You love me, Father. You could never leave me desolate, to die within a world of pain and cruelty. How could I think that love has left itself? Mm-hmm. See, it takes thinking. Jesus, does it take thinking for love to think it left itself? There's no will except the will of love. Fear is a dream and has no will that can conflict with yours. Conflict is sleep. He's so clear. He says, and mind wandering is conflict. You're conflicting with yourself. And peace, awakening. The unmoving one. Death is illusion, life, eternal truth. Jesus, do I have a desire to be confused about the difference between illusion and truth? A desire for an experience that those are confused. I ask for a miracle. Can I ask for a miracle on that? Can I ask for a miracle every place I'm confused about truth and illusion? He says that's what they're for. There's no opposition to your will. There's no conflict, for my will is yours. I'm willing to see that I am your will, Father, and only this. Because see that we're the will of God. And you really see what the will of God is, and that you're it. That's accepting divine power. Forgiveness shows us that God's will is one. and that we share it. Jesus, do we share the will of God? See that that's the only thing that can be shared, the will of God for perfect happiness. Let us look upon the holy sights forgiveness shows today, that we may find the peace of God. Amen. Let this be my one goal today, Father. The peace of God's kingdom with my brother.